Hi, I'm 72 years old and I've been a widow since 95. And I might have went out for a few dates after my husband passed away, but then they never amounted to anything that I would even ever want to, get married to him. So anyhow, in the course of my life, I just felt more comfortable being on my own. And then I ended up needing to move to a smaller town to finish raising my two older grandchildren. So we moved down here to a small 8,000 people town from a 500,000 town and put them in school. And I went about my business just volunteering and doing whatever I could to, keep myself busy since I didn't have a job because I retired at 50 with my hip replacements. So anyhow, I'm sitting here minding my own business, and I have a friend from high school that got in touch with me when I was in the hospital after having my hip revised and wanted to know if I wanted company. And I said, no, I didn't feel up to having anybody come and see me that way. So after I got out, then through the course of time, then he kept in touch with me. And I didn't mind it. It was nice to have somebody talk with me and make me feel good about myself again. But after 24 years of not having any man in my life, it just seemed so new and different. So in 2019, we talked about getting together, but we didn't until January of 20. And I got sick. So the first date was canceled, and I almost swear that that was the first go around of COVID. But after it ran its course, then we finally got together in the big city for lunch. And then the next day, we went out to a movie after lunch with his sister and brother-in-law. Well, things were going fine, and nothing happened. I mean, he wanted it to happen, and I'm thinking more on the morally side. Not unless I'm married. Will you have any way with me? Well, anyhow, so after 3 months of me telling him no, he finally decided, well, that's not the way I need my love. So he just abandoned me, and I didn't hear from him again for months. That sent me into trying to find out what my life purpose was. I mean, I was so devastated and hurt thinking, well, just because you can't have your way doesn't mean that you have to break up and be a big baby about it. So I just, I started going into more spirituality concepts and, fixing myself up and losing weight. I've lost 80 pounds on keto since 2019. And so anyhow, but it brings me back to today. So in the course of 5 years almost, we got back together and the same thing happened. We would get close and he ran. I fell in love with him. I mean, it really hurt each time, but he didn't realize that it was a catalyst for me to develop more character and get stronger and just trying to find my way in life and what I am all about. And I know after talking with God that, we are all here on this earth to make life better for everybody. And that's all I'm about is happiness and harmony and joy. And, so if I can't do that with anybody, then I really don't want somebody in my life to bring me down along with them. So the third time, you'd think after the first 2 times of me going back with him, I would have learned. But the third time he says, we need to get this right. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I mean, I'll work with you as long as you want to work with you. And things were going fine. I thought, oh my gosh, we're almost making it to 4 months before you have a back off, like where you get hot and cold. And so anyhow, we spent a day having lunch and just talking and cuddling and kissing. And he was going to come down on Valentine's Day the week after he came down for lunch, and I got a phone call or a text saying, pray for me because my sciatica is not all that great right now. And I kind of saw a sequence in his inconsistencies. through the course of the last 4 or 5 years, that he wasn't always consistent in what he said he was going to do. And so something would come up. I'm sick, or I'm not feeling good. Now it's a sciatica, but you know what? I went ahead and prayed for him. And so the next day he called me for Valentine's Day and wished me happy Valentine's Day. And I mentioned to him I would come up and clean his house and cook for him on the weekend to help him out since he couldn't move around. Well, he texted the next day and said that he was up all night just, panicking and being anxious about the idea of me coming up and could we take a rain check. So I called the next day, and after he texted and said things, when I said, yeah, I was going to cancel anyhow, but I called, and as soon as he said, thanks, babe, I called, and I didn't get an answer. I didn't get a phone call the rest of the day. I didn't get a phone call Saturday or Sunday until Sunday night about 8 o'clock. Yeah, I was just calling to check in and see how things are going and let you know how things are going here, like nothing ever happened. Well, I didn't answer because I wanted to have him leave me a message. So the next day I'm taking my friend to Omaha for a doctor appointment, and he texted, and I hurried and checked it out, and it says, oh, you must be on the road, well, be safe. I didn't even get back with him. In fact, that same moment, I said, God, is Steve the one for me? And I had a jolt in my body. I just couldn't shake it, and I've had gut instincts before, but this one was so totally different. And I said, Jane, is breadcrumbing a word? And she said, no, why? And I said, because I just got that word, given to me. And she says, I've never heard of it. So I said, I think Steve's breadcrumbing me. So when I dropped her off to her doctor appointment, I got on my phone and I started Googling, and it just led me down a rabbit hole of what this man had been doing to me this whole time. He's a dismissive avoidant. I don't think he even understands. So anyhow, in the meantime, I'm seeing all these symptoms in him now after I'm reading on it more. And so I'm working along in the background, knowing that, he needs help. He needs psychological help. And I can't do anything to fix him. It's all due to childhood. And I know the first time he came down here to take me to lunch, he got upset with me really bad when I interrupted him. He was trying to tell me his trip down Highway 34. And there's Amish buggies up and down once in a while, but I don't know what he was trying to tell me, except for I knew he was going to say 34, so I said Highway 34, and he just looked at me and says, would you let me finish? He says, I get so sick and tired of people never letting me finish my story. My dad did that the whole time, and right then I just felt that maybe he had a father wound. And then through the course of time visiting with him, when we did get together and we got along, he did tell me that his mom had to step in and be the father because his dad was a high profile preacher at a Lutheran church in Des Moines, and he was always gone, or he didn't pay attention, or he was always interrupting Steve. And so I knew, and I still know to this day, and I'm just back in the background, going with the flow, but I think his karma come back to hit him because he's in the hospital right now trying to get over a mild stroke. His daughter had passed away 2 or 3 months ago, a day before her 45th birthday. And I just feel so bad for him that he's very, very unhappy and lonely. And I thought we were going to have our life together because that was brought up. We were going to move down. He was going to move down here with me. We were going to get married. And whatever happened, happened. Well, I could see signs that he wasn't really into what he said he was going to do. So dismissive avoidance, every time they get close to somebody, they're not vulnerable people. They don't show their emotions. And so they run. And then they don't care how much they hurt somebody. And if I wasn't as strong mentally and psychologically and emotionally as I am, I would have lost it because it wasn't fun. And I just got through healing myself. It might have taken the 8 months since we've seen each other or talked. But anyhow, no, I just wanted to let anybody else know if they have a problem with a runner or a man or a woman that runs, it's usually a dismiss and avoidant, and they don't give you any indication of wanting to leave this situation. They just up and bolt. And so I'm still praying for Steve. I'm still praying for his, breakthrough that, what he needs to do to learn. But in the meantime, I have learned so much in the last 4 and 5 years, spiritually, religiously, and it has taken me back into my inner child wounds to heal them. And so anyhow, I'm writing the book on all the stuff that I've had to go through in my life up until now, all the mishaps, all the setbacks, adversities, trials and tribulations, because I've been through it all. I've been through kidnap and by gunpoint at my head and put in the trunk of his car until he drove me around until he, to find the place that he wanted to rape me. In that time, I prayed so much to God that I would not be killed, that my kids would not see me the way that was. And I even back then in 70s messed with the taillights, to see if maybe I couldn't signal a cop or somebody saying, hey, that's kind of strange, stop that car. But no, it didn't happen. But I'm here to talk to you today. That was in 77, and if anybody can make it through, just mind power, just, work with your mind, your heart, and get into meditation and mindfulness. And I will talk to you again down the road about other instances that happened that if you didn't think that you couldn't make it, yes, you can.